Hey guys, Todd Knapp here, still at Secureworld 2018. As you know, I've been walking around the aisles here, and I came across a company that I thought was really, really cool. Company's called Digital Shadows, which, by the way, awesome name.
Thank you.
Digital Shadows does some things that, number one, some of our customers could have benefited from, and I've met lots of people traveling all over the country who could have benefited from these things, and as far as I can tell, they are the only vendor here doing what they do. So, with that, give us the story. What do you guys do?
So what we do is we help organizations manage their digital risk, and what that means is we cover the open web, dark web, and social media, and we're essentially looking for exposures that relate to the company. So this could be data leakage, brand protection issues, cyber threats, physical threats. We essentially take in a set of keywords that we monitor for, and we're searching for exposures, which we then deliver them through a client-facing portal, and then that helps clients mitigate the risks that they face online, and ultimately prevent from cyber attacks or large-scale attacks that occur.
Yeah, and this is a really fascinating area for me. For those people in the audience who may not know this, the dark web, you hear people talk about that all the time. I certainly have spent time studying the dark web. Quick definition.
So the dark web is an unindexed area of the web, so it's not accessible via Google. The URLs aren't necessarily .com, they're actually .onion or .i2p, and it requires a specialized browser to access. The benefit of the dark web to users is essentially anonymity, so that gives way to a lot of nefarious criminal activity, fraud, in general, things that are negative. So that's one of our coverage areas that we look out for company information, any physical threats or cyber threats, or any general discussions mentioning company or company assets.
Yeah, so in other terms, if any of you watching this video have read in the news about data breaches that have happened either with companies or governments or government agencies or credit agencies, and you ever wondered what do they do with that data that they steal, this is where they go to market and sell that data. It goes out to the dark web. So one of the things these guys are doing is they're on the lookout for your company's data out on the dark web, and they'll tell you if it's there because you may not actually know that you've had data exfiltrated from your environment until somebody like these guys can tell you, yes?
Correct. That's the whole idea, the whole concept of the company is providing visibility outside the traditional network boundaries. So the dark web is one of those areas. It's sort of harder for a normal individual to cover that much data in mass.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit that we're providing, that holistic visibility into an area that's a little bit harder to reach. It's not totally inaccessible, but doing it on a large scale, automated front is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I got to tell you, your product absolutely touches a favorite area of mine in cybersecurity, because we do, one of the things we're talking about here at the event today is employee security posture training,
right,
and helping to harden the human side of cybersecurity. Because when I walk around this event, I see vendor after vendor that are providing hardware solutions for the network and software solutions for the servers,
right,
and encryption for the data. But at the end of the day, it's the people that I always worry about. And so your product is so much about that.
Right.
I think the social media element of that is fascinating. In the news, we've watched so many sad stories lately about violence, right, that was, foreshadowed on social media, but that maybe the organizations weren't aware was even, right, present.
Correct.
Your product would have detected things like that, yes?
Definitely. So what we do, social media coverage is one of the areas that we specialize in. We look for a various number of things, right? On the one hand, it could be profiles set up in a company's name that aren't official or sanctioned. It could be people talking negatively. It could be actual exposures, whether from an employee or someone who's not an employee, who's exposing information that is sensitive and shouldn't be exposed. And then cyber threats and physical threats, people making threats of violence or of action or pre-action. That's all the type of posts or content that we're able to identify, notify an organization, a client that we're working with, so they can then maneuver internally and remediate the issue.
Yeah, I think that's so incredibly important. And frankly, I think it's one of the most understated aspects of cybersecurity, so I'm thrilled to see that you guys are here.
Thank you.
So, one of the things that you mentioned when I was standing in the booth that I thought was fascinating is, of course, you mentioned machine learning.
Right.
And, machine learning is the buzzword. It's everywhere in cybersecurity right now. But you also mentioned something else, and as you've probably started to figure out, I'm very human-centric, right?
Right.
I'm focused on the human side of cybersecurity, right, and the human side of training and elevating security posture and watching for the things you watch for. Tell me about your team of analysts.
Sure, so the way that we frame our use of algorithms, we apply machine learning not holistically. We're transparent about the idea that we know that it can't be applied holistically to the entire operation.
Yeah.
There's certain areas that it benefits, and there's certain areas that using the power of the human is more beneficial. So we have two levels of filtration in terms of the data that we're ingesting. On the one hand, automated filtration via machine, and then that minimizes the amount of data that we're ingesting to a certain level, and the next stage in that process is delivering the information to a human analyst that adds additional context, can make sure 100% that the information that's being delivered is relevant to the client of their interest. And that's essentially the final filter in that process, is passing on the information as a final filter to a human analyst that can make the decisions with the power of the human brain.
Yeah, you know, I've said for years that there are some things that you just can't replace a human for, and I'm a huge advocate for machine learning and artificial intelligence. I actually speak on those subjects at industry events. But you know, in my own company, as we are a managed service provider, one of the things that we've always said is we're willing to automate up to a point, but there is a place where just the human intuition, the human instinct is very, very hard to replicate with a machine. So congratulations on that. I think that's a very smart decision on your part.
Thank you, we view it the same way.
So, well, you know, I got to tell you, great product, so cool to see you guys here at the event. I've been asking everybody this question, so before we wrap up, when you think about cybersecurity, because that is where we are, at a cybersecurity convention, you know, if you were handed a network and somebody said, secure this thing, you know, where would you begin? What's the thing that always bubbles to the top for you, personally?
So I think it goes back to the same conceptual argument that you mentioned about humans being in the center of the operation. Whether it's humans that we're looking at or whether we're using humans as part of the operation. For me, when somebody poses a problem, either of a network or a company, the first thing I think about are the individuals, right? They are usually the victims. Even if we look at large-scale breaches, at the end of the day, the companies do get hurt, but the companies at the end of the day are made up of humans, so the final victims in the operations are essentially are essentially humans. And therefore, when I am posed with a problem like that, the first thing that I think about are who could the potential victims be, and it's usually humans.
So there you go. You heard it here. The chain of custody of victimization ends with human beings. I think that's a really powerful message for this, and one that I would love for more people to take away from an event like this. So keep your focus there, keep your focus on the people, and if we wanted to learn more about your company, where do I send folks?
Digitalshadows.com. That would be our website, and all the information should be there, and then you can reach out to us directly as well.
Fantastic, and in addition to going to digitalshadows.com, you'll find a link to their website in this video, probably also in the comments section, and as always, you can call us at Envision, we'll be happy to introduce you. Thank you so much for taking the time, this was great.
Thank you.